Well, good afternoon, family. It has been a few days since I last posted a video. That is in part because it's been an incredibly busy couple of days for me, where I took a little bit of a break, went to Masai Mara with family. But in the middle of all this, I still have quite a bit of construction projects going on, consultations, content creation. So I'm still trying to manage all these competing interests while still holding on a full time job, holding on full time parenting, full time husbanding, and all that. So forgive me for missing a few days here and there. But I'm glad to be back again, presenting another magnificent property that you're going to watch with me shortly. So I'm just really grateful that you're still here. I'm really grateful for the folks out there who, despite all, continue to support us. I'm especially grateful for the people who have opened up their homes, allowing us to share their journeys, the process that they've been through, some of the lessons they've learned. And while doing so, we've ended up inspiring a lot of people out there, many who are now back on the game, are thinking about building or have already engaged us in building. So thank you so much for people who willingly just call us and ask us to come and learn from them. So if you're one of those folks who are out there and you'd like us to come see your project, be sure to let us know on the number that I post here. Also, I'm very grateful for folks who engage us online, whether you're subscribing, watching, commenting, whichever way you engage us online, we appreciate that. And I'm also really grateful for the many fans that stop me by whenever I walk around town. The last couple of weeks, I've met so many fans in person. And it really excites me when I meet people who enjoy the things we do online. So thank you for stopping me. If you run into me out there, I'd be glad to say hi to you. And lastly, I'm also really grateful for the many folks out there who are trusting us with their projects. In fact, currently, we have about 16 projects at different stages. And most of these are just people who have consultation or construction related projects, whether it's building, remodeling, land acquisition, and things like that, that they are inviting us to help them with. So if you're one of those folks, again, I cannot say thank you enough for bringing me into this space. I never planned to do this work. I have my full-time job and all that, but I found myself in this space because of the many challenges that people face, some of which don't have to happen. So if you're one of those people who is thinking about doing a project in Kenya and you could use our help, feel free to reach out on the number that we provide for consultation. So, that said, this afternoon we are spending a few hours at this incredible mansion that I'm going to call Casa de Akengle. Now, if you don't know where Akengle is, I will not tell you. That will be homework for you. After watching this video, find out where Akengle is. All I can say, it's not in Karateng, but it's very close to Karateng. Maybe about 15 or 20 minutes from Karateng, which is my home, which is where I typically film from. But today I just moved about a few minutes away from my home to come and see what this incredible neighborhood looks like and see all these projects. As I was driving to my friend's place, I noted these really well done structures. Some of them are done, others are still in the process of being finished. And so we are visiting with a special friend who has done an incredible job, as you will see shortly, building a magnificent home right on top of a hill. Now, my friends, as I always say, cameras don't always do justice to the works that I see on the ground. So wait till I show you the interiors in the second video after you watch today's video. I hope you'll come back to see what's on the inside, because if you think the outside is amazing, wait till you get the inside. So honestly, the house I'm about to show you is probably one of the best designed homes in terms of homes that are built on top of a hill. And building on a hill is really tricky, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about, today, because there are people who find themselves having bought land that are really hilly or challenging. As you can see, that right there, the home with the black top is my friend's home. And that's what we're going to review this evening. So I'm not saying that because it's turned out like this, that the process was not easy. As is always true with many diasporans, my friend has really gone through hell and back and maybe 6 times. Or but she's pulled it off. She's pulled it off. So I'll show you what that looks like on the outside. And then in the second part, we are going to go right inside and I'm going to walk you through the entire house. So I hope you stick with me and you watch what it looks like. So anyway, because of what happened, she's ended up switching multiple contractors left and right, and eventually she made it work. So I could not be any more happy for her. Oh, and by the way, my friend is a very private person, and so you will not see her, and I will not tell you much about her, but she's just as amazing as the house you're about to watch. So anyway, as you feast your eyes on this magnificent hacienda, I want to talk to you about the issue of building on challenging terrain, especially building on hills. What you should know before jumping headfirst. Because apparently a lot of the clients that I work with bought land first before thinking, what does the terrain or topography mean for them when they're eventually going to build? So I'm going to share with you some of the tidbits that I've picked up over the years. So in general though, building in an uneven terrain comes with all sorts of challenges and opportunities. I actually see both. Many people tend to think of challenges only, but I see lots of opportunities as you're about to see in this particular building. And so building in this kind of terrain really invites us to rethink the relationship between the natural environment and the human design. And those two need to be in sync, because anytime the two are not in sync, I assure you there will be problems. So nature will often do its thing, and when nature is doing its thing and your design is not designed to accommodate that, then you're going to have issues, and I'll explain why shortly. So while many people run away from these challenges, a few folks just take it head on. And when you look at this building, in fact, the lower part is about halfway down below the hill. And that's why the front part really looks very different than the back part. And it's one of the things I really love about this building. So, of course, unstable ground, clay soil, extremely slopy, and all that stuff can quickly become expensive. That's one thing that everybody is scared about. That does this mean I'm going to spend a lot of money, especially at the foundation? So, yeah, just some of the things I want you to think about if you want to buy land in one of these places, or if you already have land in a challenging terrain and you want to take it on. So, the biggest decision that many people, especially those who are new to construction, don't realize is that the biggest decision is about the orientation of the building. So one option is to build into the hill, excavate to create some level base, and then alternatively, you might decide to extend the building outwards with supporting walls constructed under the raised area. And this is what my friend did. The third option that is there is to simply cut and fill. I'll tell you what that looks like, because that's what I did for my brother's home. And that's what I did for my home too, because we were trying to get same level. So in my home, there are no stairs besides what's going to the upper floors. The entire floor is on one level, and we did that because of accessibility. So, like I said, my friend did the second option where you simply extending the walls outside. So you're working with the terrain. And now, if you're going to place a building along a wall, here's what I want you. Along the hill. Here's what I want you to think about. Number one, buildings that are tucked into the hillside often don't harm the environment. So you sort of work with the natural terrain, and the location of the building, in that sense, really doesn't minimize any sort of need for grading, and it helps you preserve the natural drainage courses and existing trees. So if you do that, you are less likely to have issues with water flowing down the hill. The more you mess up with the environment, if you don't plan for it, then the more issues you're going to have with water later on. Now, the other option that is there that I did, and I did that for my brother too, was to simply cut and fill. So cut and fill is basically a process that involves cutting into the ground to create a level surface. Now, then you fill on the other end. Now, while doing so, it helps you with setting a plain ground, but that can come with some drainage issues as well. And so you want to think very carefully, designing the drainage and other access points in such a way that the surface water coming down the hill will need to be channeled around the building, because otherwise then you have issues with water pooling behind the building, and then it starts going up the hill if you didn't do proper waterproofing, and you have major issues. So you want to be careful with that too. So the other compromise that many people do in many cases is simply fit the house on the slope with a series of steps. Now that's fine on one level, but it can be really challenging when it comes to people with disabilities and wheelchairs and all that. So I personally am not a big fan unless your options are limited. So this can also reduce the amount of excavation, although it can still add up to sometimes up to 10% of the overall cost of building. But it's not a method I prefer because it makes homes very inaccessible. When every room and every place there's stairs up and down. So it's not an option that I care for. So just think about it in terms of accessibility. And also with many of these hilltop homes, you're going to have to think about a retaining wall. And retaining walls may need to be built in order to stabilize the soil, and the foundations may also need to be adjusted in order to accommodate for any changes in elevation. So retaining walls are not like your wall for building the side of your house. Those things need to be carefully designed, or I have seen disaster. In fact, my brother's retaining wall at some point fell over and really caused a mess because the foodies did not do a good job with it. So don't ever play with the retaining wall. Those things can be very dangerous. So lastly, here is what I want you to remember. Any face of the hill, except for hard stable rock, should not be used as a building wall. Now, minimum clearance that is required is often about 1 meter, preferably 1.5. And then the height of the hill cutting for story buildings, for any steps, should not be more than 4 meters. Because again, the higher you go, the more challenging or the newer problems you introduce into your construction. Now, also remember the kitchens, the bathrooms, any closets, all that stuff should be located or oriented as far as possible from the hill face so as to avoid any dampness due to seepage of water. And lastly, the upper stories should be as light as possible. There's ways to do that. Well, I hope you learned something today and you enjoyed watching my friend's house, and I will see you in the next. Thank you.